Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Prabhupada ki jai. Is this loud enough? The mic? Yeah? Turn it up a little bit. Some people are saying no, some people are saying yes. What do you think? Kusum? What do you think? A little louder? Okay. Yeah, just speak over the fans. Oh, it's getting louder. Alright. Better? Alright. Hare Krishna. So today is a special day because today is celebrating the day that A.C. Bhaktivedanta, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, he got into a boat with Jaladuta and he came to America. So that's what happened some years ago on this day. How many years has it been? 53 years ago. 63? 53. Okay, 53 years ago. So there's a book, Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. There's 2 volumes. This is volume 1. It's a biography of Srila Prabhupada. So I'll just read 2 sections from that book. So the first section is an interesting account of the historical moment where Srila Prabhupada, he met his guru. in Kolkata, India. So he was a young man at the time. He was 26 years old. So yeah, I'll just read that now. All right, so the background is that Srila Prabhupada, he's now 26 years old, and he grew up in a Vaishnava family, or family of devotees of Krishna. So therefore he was familiar with the customs and the practices of Vaishnavism. So one of the customs is that when someone meets a saintly person or a sannyasi or monk, they offer respectful obeisances, actually physically bow down to that person. So that's what happens when Srila Prabhupada goes and meets his guru. But before he goes and meets him, his friend Narendra Mulak, he was first trying to convince Srila Prabhupada, come see this saintly person. Now Srila Prabhupada didn't want to. And the reason being is because he says, oh, I know all these saintly people, these saintly people. They're just a bunch of beggars, and they're what do they call them? Parasites on society, just living off of people's money and doing no good for society. For example, when Prabhupada was a young boy, he would see these renunciates, right? Renunciates. That in the morning they would, drink their coffee, right? Their caffeinated coffee, and get all enthusiastic for the collection. And then they'd smoke their cigarette, right? Their ganja, that's true. Their ganja. And then they would put on their saffron clothes, and then they would go out and beg. In other words, acting like they were following certain principles they actually weren't. So Prabhupada was saying, oh, I know these people, and I don't want to go see them. But Narendra Mulak, he was pushing Prabhupada, no, you should go see, this person's different. So then Srila Prabhupada, he agrees. He goes, okay, I'll go and see him. So I'll just read this. So they get to the place in Kolkata, and it's an early evening, and it's on top of a roof, Alta Dunga on the roof. And Srila Prabhupada's guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, is sitting there with a few followers and disciples, and he's teaching them. So I'll start reading from there. So this is a description of the appearance of Srila Prabhupada's guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Sitting with his back very straight, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta appeared tall. He was slender, his arms were long, and his complexion was fair and golden. He wore round bifocals with simple frames. His nose was sharp, his forehead broad, and his expression was very scholarly, yet not at all timid. The vertical markings of Vaishnav Tilak on his forehead were familiar to a Bai. So that's Prabhupada's name, Bai, growing up. As were the simple sannyas robes that draped over his right shoulder, leaving the other shoulder and half of his chest bare. He wore tulsi neck beads, and the clay Vaishnav markings of tilak were visible at his throat, shoulder, and upper arms. A clean white brahminical thread was looped around his neck and draped across his chest. Abai Naren, I guess it's not Narendra, I thought it was Narendra. Maybe because you're here, I was thinking, because your name's Narendra. He's saying here just Naren. Abai and Naren, having both been raised in Vaishnava families, immediately offered prostrated obeisances at the sight of the revered sannyasi. So they saw him, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and they offered obeisances. They bowed down to him. While the two young men were still rising and preparing to sit, before any preliminary formalities of conversation had begun, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta immediately said to them, "You are educated young men. Why don't you preach Lord Chaitanya's message throughout the whole world?" So Prabhupada and his friend, they offered obeisances and they were getting up, and then Bhaktisiddhanta, before they could even get up, there was no hello, my name is so-and-so, or any formalities. But immediately Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, you two are educated young men, why don't you go all over the world and spread Krishna consciousness? It's quite interesting. So Abai could hardly believe what he had just heard. They had not even exchanged views, yet this saintly person was telling them what they should do. Sitting face to face with Sri Bhaktisiddhanta, Abai was gathering his wits and trying to gain a comprehensible impression. But this person had already told them to become preachers and go all over the world. Abai was immediately impressed, but he wasn't going to drop his intelligent skepticism. After all, there were assumptions in what the saintly person had said. Abai had already announced himself by his dress to be a follower of Gandhi, and he felt the impulse to raise an argument. So at that particular time in history, India was under the British, under control of the British, and Mahatma Gandhi was fighting for freedom. And Srila Prabhupada was a follower of Gandhi. So they were boycotting everything British. So the everything, nothing. They would have nothing to do with British ways or customs or anything. So Prabhupada, as Abai, he was wearing this khadi cloth, which was not British, and which, by wearing that, people could tell that he was a follower of Mahatma Gandhi. So yeah, that's, anyways. He could sense that, yet as he continued to listen to Bhaktisiddhanta speak, he also began to feel won over by the saintly person's strength of conviction. He could sense that Bhaktisiddhanta didn't care for anything but Lord Chaitanya, Krishna, and that this was what made him great. This was why followers had gathered around him and why Abai himself felt drawn, inspired, and humbled and wanted to hear more. But he felt obliged to make an argument to test the truth. Drawn irresistibly into discussion, Abai spoke up in answer to the words Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had so tersely spoken in the first seconds of their meeting. So that Prabhupada's response, this is Prabhupada's response. He said, who will hear your Chaitanya's message? So Prabhupada was a little challenging. And if you listen to Prabhupada, he's actually quite challenging on many occasions. So that's kind of, he's a little fiery. So Prabhupada said, who will listen to your Chaitanya's message? Abai queried, we are a dependent country. First, India must become independent. How can we spread Indian culture if we are under British rule? Abai had not asked haughtily just to be provocative, yet his question was clearly a challenge. If he were to take this saintly person's remark to them as a serious one, and there was nothing in Sri Bhaktisiddhanta's demeanor to indicate that he had not been serious. Abai felt compelled to question how he could propose such a thing while India was still dependent. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta replied in a quiet, deep voice that Krishna consciousness didn't have to wait for a change in Indian politics. Nor was it dependent on who ruled. Krishna consciousness was so important, so exclusively important, that it could not wait. Abai was struck by his boldness. How could he say such a thing? The whole world of India, beyond this little Altadanga rooftop, was in turmoil and seemed to support what Abai had said. Many famous leaders of Bengal, many saints, even Gandhi himself, men who were educated and spiritually minded, all might very well have asked this same question, challenging the saintly person's relevancy. And yet he was dismissing everything and everyone as if they were of no consequence. So Bhaktisiddhanta saying, he's saying that Krishna consciousness cannot wait. So it doesn't matter that India is under the control of the British. Doesn't matter. So this is, we could think about this in relation to ourselves too, because everybody in this room, we all have certain responsibilities, certain things to think about, certain things to worry about, and sometimes we may think that, well, if I take care of this, and this, and this, and this, and this, then I could focus on Krishna consciousness. Then I could focus on Krishna. But time and tide, right, wait for no one. So time doesn't wait for anyone, and tide doesn't wait for anyone. The ocean tide doesn't wait for anyone. Right? So with all the procrastination that may take place, often in the world, maybe within ourselves also at times, time will pass, and years will pass, and maybe we could have made a lot more progress than we could have. So, in other words, this isn't supposed to be a form of discouragement. It's supposed to be a form of encouragement, that we should take this to heart as well, that Krishna consciousness is so important that it cannot wait for anything. In other words, it's first priority. So this is what Bhaktisiddhanta said to Srila Bhakti. So I'll just read a little more. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta continued, whether one power or another ruled was a temporary situation, but the eternal reality is Krishna consciousness, and the real self is the spirit soul. No man-made political system, therefore, could actually help humanity. Oh man, the politicians won't like to hear that one, huh? For those interested in politics, that's not a very won't be a very popular statement amongst those circles. This was the verdict of the Vedic scriptures and the line of gurus. Although everyone is an eternal servant of God, when one takes himself to be the temporary body and regards the nation of his birth as worshipable, he comes under illusion. The leaders and followers of the world's political movements, including the movement for Swaraj, were simply cultivating this illusion. So these are like metaphysical punches, to young Prabhupada from his guru, that he's pretty much smashing all of his political concepts, that, hey, none of this is important. You should focus on Krishna. Real welfare work, whether individual, social, or political, should help prepare a person for his next life and help him reestablish his eternal relationship with the Supreme. So I'll just read a little more. Just one more paragraph. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had articulated these ideas many times before in his writings. This is a quote from one of his writings. There has not been, there will not be, such benefactors of the highest merit as Chaitanya and his devotees have been. The offer of other benefits is only a deception. It is rather a great harm, whereas the benefit done by him and his followers is the truest and greatest eternal benefit. This benefit is not for one particular country, causing mischief to another, but it benefits the whole universe. The kindness that Mahaprabhu has shown to jivas, souls, absolves them eternally from all wants, from all inconveniences, and from all the distresses. So is anybody feeling distress sometimes? Mental, physical? So this is what it's saying, Mahaprabhu, or the process of Krishna consciousness, absolves one. That kindness does not produce any evil, and the souls who have it will not be the victims of the evils of the world. So then it goes on. So Prabhupada, so I'll just say, Om Ganatividandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Labitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Kartavachalam Pandam Langayate Girimakti Ham Vande Shri Gurun Giritanam Vancha Kapuruvisha Kripasandevacha Patitanam Pavanibyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Prabhupada, he Kanai Balai has this T-shirt. I think Guru Krishna made it, and the T-shirt is it's a picture of Srila Prabhupada standing, and then there's a boat, which is the Jaladuta, and then below it says, "Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for coming and saving us." So it's a nice shirt. I like that shirt actually. Now, when we talk about being saved, some people may think, oh, this is a religious sentimentality, this is fanaticism, this is dogmatic, this is illusion, right? Being saved from what? I'm a strong, individual, right? Rugged individualism. I'm a strong individual, and I don't need to be saved because I'm strong. Saved from what? I'm the person who saves others, right? Maybe. So when we talk about being saved, it means that those who take to Krishna consciousness are being saved from a life of illusion, from a life misspent in trivial pursuits for merely biological, urges. In other words, a life of hedonism. And aside from that, people are saved from anxiety. So this is very relevant these days because there's a lot of anxiety in the world. And as a matter of fact, America is the leading country in anxiety disorders. America, good old America. Now, I don't dislike America. I don't hate America. I was born in America. Srila Prabhupada came to America. But the fact is, facts are facts, that it's the leading country. So we sing every morning here at the temple. Samsara dava nalalidha loka tranaya karuna gana ganatam praptasya kalyana guna navasya vande garoshri charanadavindam. So it's saying, I offer my respectful obeisances to the spiritual master, who, in essence, it's saying, who is freeing us from the blazing fire of material existence. He's extinguishing it. And what is that blazing fire? It's anxiety, or it's so many things, but that's one aspect, very prominent aspect of material existence, is anxiety. So, and how is he freeing us? He's freeing us by imparting particular instructions to us, and by acting on those instructions, we become free. So it's not that he just, whatever, abracadabra, you're free from material anxiety, right? I'm giving you all blessings. No, I'm not the spiritual master, but the spiritual master doesn't do that. That it's just some magic, right? Sometimes people think that, though, the spiritual master just, touches you on the shoulder, and it's like a zap, you get all the knowledge and get all the freedom. But what happens is he gives you the instruction by which one can become free. And the example is given of a well. So nowadays we may not have much experience of a well. We just have experience of our sink in our kitchen, right? The tap, water coming out. Maybe somebody has a well here. I don't know. Anybody have a well? No? Okay. Huh? At the farm we have a well. Yeah. So previously, in bygone times, they had wells, right? They hold water and they get the water in a pail. So sometimes those wells would dry up, and an unfortunate, we could think about it, unfortunate person, grass would grow over it, and an unfortunate person would be walking their dog or whatever they're doing, walking, and then they'd fall into the well. So the example is given that if somebody fell into a 20-foot well, they cannot free themselves from being entrapped in that well. So they're there, they're calling, and then help, and then somebody's walking by, and they hear a person, okay, hey, let me get a rope. So they throw the rope down, and the person's there in the well, and the rope comes, right? Wonderful. So now if I'm in the well, and Vasant, right here, he throws down the rope. Now, if I start yelling to Vasant, oh, Vasant, you please, make my hands curl and, grasp the rope. Now the son will say, okay, what's up with this guy, I threw the rope down, it's his business to grab it. So in other words, he did his part, and I have to do my part. So it's a similar like that with the spiritual master. It's not just a magic thing, okay, free from anxiety. But he gives the process. That process is like the rope. So we hold on to that rope, and then he'll pull us out by following those instructions. That's the idea. So Prabhupada met with, as we just read, Prabhupada met with his guru in 1922. So he was given that instruction, you go all over the world and spread Krishna consciousness. So he was married at the time, he had a few children, and he did not act on that instruction for another 40 years. Means he didn't go out of India and come to America for another 40 years. So he was an elderly man when he actually executed that particular order. So this is the day in which Srila Prabhupada boarded that boat, the Jaladuta, and he was alone, by himself. Alone means Krishna was there in the heart, but he didn't have anyone else externally, you could say. So he boarded that boat, and then he went on this long journey of 35 days. Sometimes we may go on a cruise ship or something, right? In Alaska, or I don't know, down by Mexico, we go on a nice cruise ship, and there's plenty of nice food and people serving us, and nice comfortable bed and nice music and all different types of things. Nice association, friendly association. So this wasn't one of those ships. This was a cargo ship. It means it transported stuff, not people. But somehow the Prabhupada got a little room there, and he was in bad health. So when he was going across, he actually had 2 heart attacks. So heart attacks are very intense experience. I never had one, but I can imagine. It's an intense experience. So he had 2 heart attacks, and then he said if he had a third one, he would have died. So then Krishna appeared in his dream while he was on the boat, and on all the different avatars like Lord Nrsingadev and Vamanadev and Matsya and Kurma, all these different incarnations of Krishna. They appeared, and they started rowing the boat in the dream. So, and they said, oh, don't worry, you'll be okay. So then he made it over. So then when he made it over, the wife of the captain was with him, and she said, wow, that was amazing. That was an amazing journey. It was very smooth, She said, that was the smoothest journey I've ever had. And then she even said, you want to come back with us? Sometimes the ocean can get pretty. So it's very smooth. So when Srila Prabhupada reached America, he wrote a poem, which is in Bengali. It's called Markine Bhagavat Dharma. And it's written in Boston Harbor, September 18th, 1965. So I'll just read that, and it gives a idea of what Srila Prabhupada's mindset was at that particular time, what he was feeling, what he was thinking about, what he was experiencing. So it says, this is a very famous poem. So it says, my dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here, otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? So Prabhupada, when he arrived, he thought it's a terrible place. He wasn't, sometimes people arrive and there's the Statue of Liberty, right? There's the Empire State Building. They want to go out and whatever, go to the local restaurants and shopping and whatever they do. They're ready to conquer, ready to enjoy, ready to establish themselves, right? But Prabhupada wasn't coming to do that. and he saw it as a terrible place. So this explains what he meant by that. What does he mean by a terrible place? Why is it a terrible place? So it says, most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste or no attraction for hearing the transcendental message of Krishna, of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. So he's saying it's a terrible place because most of the population's in the lower modes of material nature. And for more description of that, there's the Bhagavad Gita. What is the lower modes? Ignorance and passion. So ignorance is just lethargy and it's neither good for material life or spiritual life. In other words, people aren't getting anywhere. There's just a lot of lack of activity. What is it? Laziness, yes. Laziness and just darkness, lack of activity, just really bad. And then passion is person's very interested in making a lot of money, right? So they can enjoy. And just way too absorbed in materialistic life, and they have no time for God or Krishna or anything. So that's passionate life. So he's saying that they're absorbed like that. Just like some time ago, we had a big festival here at the temple, and I had to go to the local Walmart. So I had to go pick up some decorations and this and that. So it was a Sunday. It was kind of last minute decoration operation. So I went there, and I could just see everybody was like really enthusiastic at Walmart, the shop, just like really, really into it. And I was thinking to myself, people are thinking, oh, excuse my language, but they're thinking, to hell with, to H-E-L-L with God, we're going to Walmart this morning, forget about the mosque, forget about the temple, forget about the church, forget about the synagogue. We're going to Walmart. This is where all the desires can be fulfilled, right? You get your women that get your nails done. You can get a nice haircut there. Maybe eat something there. I don't know. Go shopping. Just have a good time, I guess. And I was walking there, and there was a couple, a man and a woman, and whatever. People are, in essence, people are nice, and I'm not trying to demean anybody or something, but it makes a point that, she was there, and she told her husband or boyfriend or whatever, she said, called him, for whatever reason they call him that, babe or whatever. She said, hey babe, look at it, it's discounted, it's only $2. And I was thinking to myself, well, what do you expect about Walmart? Like, wow, it's such a surprise, it's $2. Like, you're at Walmart, everything's cheap and, it's discounts. What's the big deal? She was very excited, So in this way, people, and I'm not saying whatever, obviously people need to go shopping, they need to, whatever, buy stuff, and maybe they have to go to Walmart sometimes, whatever. So, but if that's like the, one of the main, purposes of their life, making money and spending money and, trying to enjoy material life, then that's what he's talking about here. That's why it's a terrible place. So that's what he's bringing up. And yes, we could also ask ourselves, okay, how much attraction do I have for Krishna? How much attraction do I have? And how much attraction do I have for other things? And how much am I, feeling satisfied in material life? So, again, this isn't meant to be discouraging, but it's meant to be seen as, okay, where we are and where we need to be. We make steps towards in the right direction. All right, so I'll continue with But I know you're... So, he's continuing. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? O Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. So he's saying, how are these people going to understand? I don't think these people are going to understand. So he's saying, I'm praying to you, Krishna, that for your mercy to help them understand. And then he says, all living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will, Maya, and therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. Now someone would say, okay, well, why is it the will of God that I'm an illusion? Because illusion means suffering. Why is that the will of God? That doesn't make any sense. So what it means is that because we wanted it, because we want to forget, because we want to be separate from Krishna, then Krishna, okay, fine. And that's his will. He sanctions it. Okay, go for it. Here's a playground in the material world. But he says, by your will they could be released. So by your help they could be released. That's what, so Prabhupada's praying for people. And he says, I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. So we got the Bhagavad Gita, and then the next book is the Bhagavatam. 18,000 verses. So he says, it's your incarnation. And if a sober person repeatedly receives it, so when receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. So by sober, it doesn't mean, not taking any intoxication or something. It means a serious person, sincere person. Of course, it could help if they're not intoxicated too. And then Prabhupada quotes the Bhagavatam, Srinvatam Sakta Krishna. So this is a few verses from the Bhagavatam. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:17 through 21, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma Supersoul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed. In loving service unto the glorious Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. At that time, loving service is established in the heart. The modes of passion and ignorance and lust and desire disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes happy. Thus established in the mode of goodness, the person rejuvenated by loving service to the Lord gains liberation from material association and comes to know scientifically of the personality of Godhead. Thus the knots of the heart and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees oneself and one's master. So it's saying here that that Krishna, if we hear about Krishna from the Bhagavatam, from the Bhagavad Gita, and there's no excuses nowadays because with the advent of modern technology, there's thousands and upon thousands of spiritual discourses available, and kirtans, chanting available. So there's no real excuse. So if we do that daily, just as we eat daily to keep the body alive and nutritious, similarly, if we want to keep the soul alive and nutritious, want to nurture the soul, we have to do that on a daily basis. And if we do that, it says that Krishna in the heart, he cleanses the desire for material enjoyment, cleanses the desire for material happiness. Now someone will say, what's wrong with material happiness? Well, what's wrong with material happiness is it's a big distraction. Just like the other day I was walking and taking a walk up the hill here. And I saw these two guys. I saw these two guys, and there was a motorcycle. They were looking at the motorcycle, like really, very seriously, like very intensely, looking at the motorcycle. And in the Sanskrit terminology, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with this term, but samadhi means like full absorption. Like they weren't thinking about anything else in the universe. It was just that motorcycle. These two guys were looking at it. And I was thinking, wow, they're pretty, I thought maybe they were going to take out a stick of incense and, start worshiping it, Maybe take out some flowers and some sandalwood paste or something. And now, of course, okay, motorcycle, whatever. I'm not going to... There's some devotees here who are good devotees. They have motorcycle too. So it's not that we got somebody who gets motorcycles. That's not the point. But if one becomes... Generally, men are more interested in motorcycles, usually. But if a man, becomes way too absorbed in a motorcycle or whatever it is, then that absorption is robbing them of their ability, of their very desire to focus on Krishna, to focus on their relationship with God. It's just robbing them. And whatever, men, women, whoever, they have their different attractions or something. Whatever. So yeah, we have to be careful about that. So Krishna cleanses, within our heart, Krishna cleanses those desires. That, okay, we still may ride a motorcycle, but it's not that that's our life. Or we still may enjoy enjoy associating with our family, but that's not our sole purpose of our life. That we're also Krishna conscious. That's the idea. We also love Krishna. So I'll just finish it here. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure, as you like. So, Prabhupada, his guru sent other disciples to London, to Germany, to different places. And in some respects, they didn't do so bad, actually. They met some important personalities. They made a few devotees. But they weren't absolutely successful on a large scale of establishing temples. And so they came back to India. So on some level, they had some success, but on some level, it was, you could say, like a failure. So Srila Prabhupada says, make me a success or failure as you like. So Prabhupada, he said he was thinking of New York. He's thinking about coming to New York. And he said sometimes he would dream about New York. And I was told that from one of his disciples that he said that, so my other god brothers, they failed in London, they failed in Germany, so I figured that, hey, well, if I'm going to fail, I might as well fail in a different place, in America. So he said, O spiritual master of all the worlds, I could simply repeat your message, so if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance. O Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta. And now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pure, here, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18th of September, 1965. So yeah, Prabhupada's saying I'm helpless. I'm in this country. I'm an elderly man. It's not looking too good. Practically, that's what he's saying. So he's praying for help, and he's saying, "Make me dance." So there are some footage of Srila Prabhupada after and he was successful. He went to New York, established temples, went to San Francisco, all over the world. Within 12 years, there's 108 temples, 5,000 disciples, so many books were translated. So he's very successful. So Rath Yatra that we just had in L.A., maybe a lot of you went, so that was Prabhupada's idea. And when he was a young boy, he was those festivals, he would put those festivals on. So he established those festivals, and the first one was in San Francisco. So there's footage, you could find it if you like, where Prabhupada's saying, "Here, please make me dance." So there's nice footage of Srila Prabhupada dancing. He's got his arms raised up, and he's jumping up and down, and a bunch of devotees there, and it's very wonderful footage. So he was successful. And he was successful because he had faith, strong faith in the holy name of Krishna, and therefore he acted on that, and yeah, he was extremely successful. So yeah, we could take some solace in knowing about such great personalities, and we can strive in our own way to help contribute to his mission and to the Krishna conscious movement in some way or other. And we may not do, probably not, exactly like he did, but we all have our own contributions we can make, so we should strive for that. And be happy, that he actually came to America. Because if you just imagine he didn't come, so we wouldn't be sitting here. We'd be sitting somewhere else, doing something else, because there wouldn't be any temples or whatever. But so anyways, he came, and this is the day he boarded the boat, so it's a very auspicious, good day. So all glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So does anyone have any questions or comments? Anything? Yes, Jamal. So the question is, he's saying that, quoting me, that I said material happiness is a distraction. So if it's a distraction, how do we get people to understand it's a distraction, right? If it's their focus, how do we get them to understand it's a distraction? Well, we should go out with the Bhagavad Gita and just hit them. No, I'm just joking. We shouldn't do that. We should, the thing is, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that there's 4 good people who approach him. And those are the inquisitive, those seeking knowledge, those in distress, and those after money. They approach Krishna. So we've all approached Krishna, right? We're all sitting here, we approach Krishna for one of those reasons, or a combination of those reasons. So there's people who are naturally will be inclined to approach Krishna, and that means, to some degree, putting the material happiness on the back burner, right? Going for spiritual happiness. So And there's certain people who don't surrender to Krishna. It says in Bhagavad Gita, Namam duskritina mudha prapadyante naradama maya prityagyana asuram bhavamashita. So, Namam duskritina mudha. Krishna used very strong language. So mudha means like a donkey or a beast of burden. Srila Prabhupada translated a beast of burden means just works super hard and just no interest in God, no interest in anything like that. Just wants to enjoy, eat, drink, be merry, right? For tomorrow we will die. So mudha, prapadyante naradama, like that. There's a few atheistic class and so on. There's people who don't approach Krishna. So, so naturally, in our trying to convince others or bring others to Krishna, some people just won't be interested by nature. And it's unfortunate, but we could try to help them, we could try to explain to them, we could try to give them the holy name of Krishna, give them something. But in some ways, it may be good just to avoid those people, because they'll become more offensive. Like one time, I was probably 19 years old. I'm 30 now. So I was about 19 years old, and I was living in the temple, in this temple. So I went to visit my family in Oregon, and my grandfather was there. So I was hopefully I still have some enthusiasm, but very enthusiastic to, give knowledge and help him and, free him from all anxiety and spiritual, emancipation, all this. So I was trying to impart to him what I've learned at the temple. So I had this book with me, not this book, but I had a book. It's called The Nectar of the Holy Name. So it has all these quotes about the glories of chanting Hare Krishna, the glories of chanting God's name, from all the Vedic scriptures and just wonderful quotes, right? And I was thinking, yes, I'll share this with him. And there's one quote that Rupa Goswami has. I didn't learn the Sanskrit. If Javita Prabhu is here, he could share the Sanskrit, but maybe we'll ask him later. But the verse, English, it's saying, Rupa Goswami is saying, I wish that I had millions of tongues and millions of ears. Then I could really relish, I could really experience the nectar, the bliss of the holy name of Krishna. So, we chant with, one mouth, and we hear with our ears, and we feel some happiness, Sometimes in the kirtan we feel some happiness. So he's saying, I wish I had millions of ears and millions so I could experience, And verses like that. So I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll share this with my grandfather. He'll really like it. And then over to, he was just thinking, what is this? This doesn't make. And he started becoming offensive, and I had to defend myself. He didn't get too bad, but it was bad enough. So we have to avoid sometimes people like that. The way we could convince someone ultimately is that they have a saying that that example is more powerful than precept. That the example we're showing is more powerful than what we're saying. So this was brought up the other day that Srila Prabhupada himself, he asked his disciples, why do people join the Hare Krishna movement? Why do people become Hare Krishna people? And the devotees were saying, we have a big institution, which means big buildings, it's nice architecture or whatever it is. And Prabhupada said, no. He said, there's many institutions that have big buildings. That's not the reason. And then Prabhupada said, because we have books. We have our books. And Prabhupada said on this occasion, no. He said, we distribute so many books in public and not so many people read. And many other groups, they also have books. So no, that's not why. And then devotees were starting to get a little confused what they could say. So then Prabhupada answered. He said, the reason why people join the Hare Krishna movement is that they see that we are following what is in the books, so that the example is stronger than the precept and the teaching. That they read the books and they say, okay, these people are following what they're saying, and that's why people join. So if we want to convince people that, hey, material life, it's not that good, and maybe you shouldn't just spend all your time without Krishna, without God, maybe you should, come to the temple sometimes, or maybe you should, engage in spiritual life. If we want to convince people of that, then we have to show by our example that, hey, I'm much happier, and the highest is that if we're like in spiritual ecstasy. So that's how we can convince people. And that's what Prabhupada did. Prabhupada came and he sat down and he chanted Hare Krishna in the park, Thompson Square Park. You could go there, New York City, Manhattan. It has a little plaque on the tree. It says the city recognized. God bless New York City. It says this is the tree where the Hare Krishna movement was started, and it says A.C. Bhaktivedanta. He sat there and chanted 3 hours with his bongo drum, and because he had so much attraction, so much faith, and ultimately so much ecstasy in his relation with Krishna, and people were just, sign me up. So that's how we could do it. One devotee told me, you have to show people how God is not boring. You have to show people that. So one devotee, I'll just end with this. Those who are interested in rap music, maybe some of you aren't, but in relation to showing how God's not boring, there's this devotee called Akanta in Florida, and he took the Bhagavad Gita and he made it all into rap, poetry rap. So then on the cover it says the title is The Wrath of God. Wrath is like anger and frustration, smiting and smoting, so wrath is crossed out. It's crossed out, that word wrath, and it says wrath of God. So anyways, the point is that whatever angle of vision we look at, Krishna's not boring. So, but we have to show people that, and in that way they could not be so interested in mundane life. Alright, so I think the time is up now. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.